are joined now by our senior political editor, Steve Chaggaris, along with Matt Mackowiak, who is the president of the Potomac Strategy Group. He is in Austin, Texas. Steve, I'm going to start with you. We can talk about Donald Trump and the reaction to the whole KKK thing, but I want to start with Marco Rubio. Who's this new guy that showed up? He's funny. He's almost a little Trump-like in his humor. So clearly he's choosing to hit back. One of the things that people had said about Marco Rubio before is he doesn't attack Donald Trump. He seems to be wanting to stay out of the fray. Not anymore, but is this too little too late?
Well, there was a feeling after Trump won big in South Carolina and Nevada that somebody had to do something. At least that's among the establishment Republicans. The feeling was this could be a runaway train. Somebody's got to get in the way. And Rubio really is sort of the natural choice for them. So he, at the debate last week, really sort of unleashed what at the beginning was pretty substantive criticisms of Trump, his business acumen, his political views. But then it sort of morphed into this sort of Don Rickles routine where it's just constantly insulting Trump. And I guess my question is, it'd be interesting to see how this works out for Rubio in the long run.
Right.
You know, it works for Trump because Trump has a message that people are already sold on, right? Make America great again. He's going to go in and shake things up. People don't know Rubio's message, and now all they're seeing of Rubio is him tossing these insults at Trump and not really getting a sense of what his overall message is. And so while it gets Rubio a lot of attention, I'm not sure it gets him the right attention.
Matt, let me ask you, Donald Trump has come under fire for not condemning the Ku Klux Klan. He says that it was due to a faulty earpiece. He's referencing an interview that he did on CNN Sunday morning where he says that they gave him a bad earpiece, and so that's partly to explain why he wasn't able to respond. People have said that his disavowal of the KKK wasn't strong enough. Will that have an impact on Super Tuesday voters?
Yeah, it's a good question. You have to wonder, since you have, 7 or 8 southern states voting on Super Tuesday, if this wasn't something of a dog whistle from Trump to his supporters. The faulty earpiece argument is so lame. He went through a 10-minute interview and heard everything beautifully except the one question that he screwed up. That's not all that credible. And of course, he repeated David Duke's name and repeated the KKK. Presumably, knowing those 2 pieces of information should be more than enough to say what every normal American person would say in response to them. So, you know, we'll see what this means. I think he's obviously had about 48 hours of bad press coverage since this happened. He's been criticized by everyone in politics on both sides of the aisle, and he's on defense right now on this.
Well, it's true, but since then, we have a new poll. Well, I don't know if it's since then. I'm not sure exactly when the poll was taken, but we have a new poll. CNN national poll that shows Trump dominating. We're looking at with 49% of the vote. So you gotta wonder. You know, the conversation has been like, yeah, he's got a lot of people, but there's a cap on that. He's really not going to get a lot more. But 49% of the vote in the national poll, does that mean maybe there's no cap on support for Donald Trump?
Well, I think what it means, if this is actually what's going on, that this idea that all the votes that were not going to Trump were automatically anti-Trump votes. And I think what we're seeing is that as people drop out, that he is actually gaining more support nationally. And so that's something that has to worry Rubio, Cruz. I mean, Rubio and Cruz are nowhere in this poll, and you know they're the ones that are out there that are supposed to be stopping this this Trump runaway train. And you know the fact that they're almost 30 points behind in this poll, that's just not a good sign for them.
Yeah.
Matt, Ted Cruz has a strong lead in his home state of Texas, but he hasn't had a lot of momentum since winning Iowa. There are some that say, you know, even if he squeaks out a victory in his home state, it won't be enough. What is his strategy going forward?
I think Ted Cruz's strategy is to be second place in delegates after Super Tuesday and stay there for the rest of the race. And I think Texas gives him a chance to do that. I don't think he's going to squeak out a win here. I think he's going to win by a good margin, by a comfortable margin, 8 or 10 points probably at the end of the day. He has a huge statewide organization in Texas, 27,000 volunteers. Just 3 years ago, he won 3 statewide elections in Texas in a 7-month period, a primary runoff, and a general election. So, you know, we'll see where it goes. I think he could take 75 or 80 or even 85 delegates out of Texas on March 2nd. If he wins Arkansas and finishes strongly in Oklahoma, we'll see what he does in somewhere like Georgia. He could have a good delegate night and could put him in a position where he's ahead of Rubio. It's going to be hard for Rubio in 3rd place to argue that Cruz has to get out if he's in 2nd place. What matters is what happens on March 15th. Cruz will win his home state. Will John Kasich win Ohio? And will Marco Rubio win Florida? If one or both of them lose their home state, I presume they're going to have to get out. And that may give Cruz a path to be the finalist against Trump after March 15th.
So, Steve, that's what I wanted to ask you about Rubio, because things aren't looking as rosy for him in his home state.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the poll was done a week ago or so, and he has time to try to close that gap. But if he doesn't win Florida, so if Cruz doesn't win Texas, or if Rubio doesn't win Florida, or frankly, if Kasich doesn't win Ohio, I looked this up, they will be the first sitting office holders to lose their home state in a presidential primary
Wow.
since 1972, or in the modern primary era. And so you don't want that to happen.
No,
So if it looks like that he's going to lose Florida, I can't imagine that he's going to go through March 15th if there's a real chance that he could lose there.
All right, Steve Chaggaris here in New York, and Matt Mackowiak, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks.